Hello everyone, our topic is Inseparable Relationship Between Energy and Politics. How renewable energy policies play an important role in Taiwan, Indonesia, and Malaysia politics. Renewable energy policies play a crucial role in global politics, particularly in the post-COVID era, which has been marked by both the pandemic's impact and geopolitical events, such as the war between Ukraine and Russia. The pandemic and the war revealed vulnerabilities in traditional energy systems, emphasizing the need for a shift towards sustainable and resilient energy sources. Against the backdrop of geopolitical tensions, the pursuit of renewable energy becomes not only an environmental imperative, but also a strategic move to enhance energy security in the face of geopolitical uncertainties. We will discuss the impact that has changed the situation in the current governments of our countries, Taiwan, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Interestingly, two of these three countries we are going to discuss, Taiwan and Indonesia, are going to elect their new president in several months. So we are also going to discuss how it affects the new president candidate's future policies, since the new president will start an important change and determine the country's future with the new policies, and how people react to the policies. First, we're going to talk about Taiwan. Taiwan is going to have a presidential election in January 2024, which will determine the future government for the next 4 years. The four candidates are Ko, Lai, and Ho. There are a lot of debate going on. Energy policy is a crucial topic as well. Currently, President Tsai has proposed several policies. First, a nuclear-free policy. She wishes to build a nuclear-free homeland by 2025. Second, replace coal with natural gas. She wishes to increase natural gas to 50%, reduce coal to 30% by 2025. Next, increase renewable energy. She wishes to increase the renewable energy to 20% of total energy generation by 2025. Last, she hopes to reach net zero by 2050. The chart picture shown is from CPC Corporation's Facebook to explain the current Taiwanese policy. Currently, the Taiwan citizens are aware of energy transition as well. This can be proven by the launch of referendums. In 2021, there was a referendum on whether we should restart the fourth nuclear power plant. As previously mentioned, Tsai president had been focusing on a nuclear-free homeland by 2025. However, opponents assert that nuclear energy is a low-carbon and stable energy substitution for coal and natural gas. The result of the referendum shows that the majority of voters disagree with restarting the nuclear power plant. In 2021, additionally, there was another referendum on whether we should establish a liquefied natural gas terminal on the outside of the Taoyuan Dachan Dianchang, as previously planned by the Ma government. The site has a coverage area of up to 230 hectares of algal reefs. The establishment would probably harm the ecosystem there. Therefore, there was an intense debate. The result of the referendum shows that the majority of the voters agree with establishing a liquefied terminal to alleviate energy problems. There are only 4 referendums in 2021, while 2 of them were about energy and the ecosystem. This shows that Taiwanese citizens indeed care about sustainability and development when it comes to policies. However, there is some criticism against Tsai's energy policies as well. Taiwan has experienced 2 power outage incidents in 2021, and much more under Tsai's administration. It has not only raised public awareness but also led to criticism of the energy policies. President Tsai has declared a commitment to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050, but the detailed roadmap is still under review, and there is currently no specific energy saving or energy storage plan in place. 2025 nuclear-free homeland is much criticized as well. There are several analytics about nuclear-free homelands being proposed, including Tianxia magazine. The problems are as such. First, the timeline. New natural gas receiving stations cannot be completed in a timely manner. And second, the technology. Renewable energy generation is currently unstable and it is hard to serve as a baseload power source. Third, energy security. The overly high targets for natural gas in power generation, all of which is imported, may worsen energy security by concentrating energy sources excessively. Fourth, the economy. The high cost of renewable energy and natural gas power generation could lead to increased electricity prices, affecting people's lives and economic development. Fifth, the environment. Natural gas power generation is not carbon neutral. It accounts for approximately 56% of coal's carbon emissions. As the 2024 election approaches, all three candidates are aware of energy issues in Taiwan, and they have proposed strikingly different policies. Candidate Lai proposed that he would carry on Tsai's policies: less coal, more natural gas, nuclear-free homeland by 2025, and net zero by 2050. While candidate Ho proposed to have less coal, more nuclear power energy, 2030 reduced coal, less than 45% natural gas, and more than 40% renewable energy and nuclear energy combined. In 2035, he hopes to achieve low coal, which means more than 50% renewable energy. And by 2040, he wishes to be coal-free, and 2050, net zero. Candidate Ko proposed to have more renewable energy and restart the nuclear power plants, while he also wants to ameliorate the electricity shortage and improve the management and dispersion. Also, all three candidates emphasized, or at least mentioned, the importance of renewable energy. This indicates that all of the candidates think that renewable energy is a national issue and that expressing their vision of sustainable development can gain votes from people. However, how to practically achieve the goals they have set would be the major problem for the elected candidate. Next is my opinion on the issue. Personally, I don't agree with developing nuclear power, since nuclear waste is an unsolvable problem in Taiwan. The local governments don't accept it, and it also leads to irreversible environmental problems in Taiwan, such a small island. However, natural gas should only be used during the transitional period in Taiwan before reaching 100% renewable energy. And this transitional period should be as short as possible, since high dependence on imported natural gas is very risky. The price is unpredictable. Even though the energy issue is fiercely debated in Taiwan, we have a consensus. Actively develop renewable energy, align with international trends, and reduce dependence on foreign fuel supply. During the transitional period before reaching net zero, whether to fill the gap with nuclear power or complement it with natural gas is indeed a point worthy of discussion. However, this should by no means serve as excuses to delay the development of renewable energy. I believe politicians, instead of spending time attacking the policies of other candidates or chanting slogans, should consider the merits of others' proposals. They should contemplate how to improve their own policies, find ways to integrate them, and reflect on the disparities between policy theories and implementations. Last, I would propose methods to improve. As mentioned earlier, instead of arguing about nuclear power or natural gas, we should focus on how to rapidly develop renewable energy. Economically, Taiwan can actively promote the power purchase agreement (PPA) system, encouraging the private renewable energy generation facilities to sign contracts with Taiwan Power Company or Taipower. to sell electricity. This approach would allow private entities to contribute to power grid and foster a mutually beneficial relationship between private businesses and the government. In terms of geographical advantages, Taiwan, situated in the subtropical region with ample sunlight and surrounded by the sea, has the potential to significantly expand solar and offshore wind power, which are already promising sectors. Additionally, being an island nation with active tectonic and volcanic activities underground, Taiwan possesses geological advantages for developing geothermal energy. As mentioned in class, geothermal energy is more stable compared to solar and wind energy. Once the initial financial and technical challenges are overcome, it could become a reliable source of power in the future. These 3 points should be ideal future goals where candidates can find common ground. However, currently Taiwan's 20% renewable energy target in 2025 has been confirmed to have been postponed. The reason is also very clear. The government is too late to build the equipment needed to renewable energy. I think candidates should focus more on execution rather than shouting out slogans. The construction and environmental assessment of renewable energy equipment, as mentioned in week 14, selective reading, 海洋发电取代核电厂，黑潮成机载电力新兴。It may the construction and assessment may take 3 to 5 years and may spend one candidate. During a person's term of office, rather than thinking about who wins the election, it is better to think how candidates and political parties can cooperate so that no matter who is elected in the future, the energy plan can be sustainable and it can work with consistency. Taiwan's current energy problem is that Taiwan's high-tech industries, such as the semiconductor industry, IC, required more and more electricity, with coal accounting for about 40% and nuclear energy currently accounting for about 8%. The two combined account for nearly 50%. To clear both of them, the government needs to make very positive and quick changes.
Now, after we talk about Taiwan, let's talk about Indonesia. And Indonesia is also going to have a presidential election on 14 February and will determine the future of the nation for the next several years. There are a lot of interesting things that happened over the last several months, including backstabbing in the process of forming a party coalition that caused a very drastic change in the electability of the presidential and vice presidential candidates. But since our main topic is about SDG and energy, let's talk more about how Indonesia has been doing in recent years and how each new presidential candidate's opinions and view on this and their own future policies. And first, let's talk about Jokowi energy policies or the policies of current government. Jokowi or Joko Widodo is the seventh president of Indonesia and has been generally feel positively by a significant portion of Indonesia population and often considered as Indonesia best presidents. Jokowi has emphasized infrastructure development as a key focus on his administration and resulted in relatively stable economic growth and significant reduction in poverty and inequality among the people. As you guys all know, since the teacher mentioned it once in the class, recently Jokowi inaugurated a, 192 megawatt peak floating solar power plant in a reservoir in West Java province as part of a drive to increase renewable energy source and stitch away from coal. Indonesia's abundant natural resources pose a huge potential for renewables, especially hydro, geothermal, and solar PV. The National Electricity Plan states a target of 23% share of renewables in the electricity mix by 2025, up to 14% in 2021. Indonesia has experienced a significant change in renewable energy policies during Jokowi presidency period, showing how the high energy issue awareness of the central government, capital policy, and infrastructure are critical to the development and adoption of renewable energy. The technology is often available, but developing a new infrastructure for renewable energy generation often requires a significant initial investment, which is itself need a stable and predictable policy environment. That's why, as I mentioned earlier, Jokowi focused on building infrastructure such as highway that connect Indonesia as a part of a bigger plan to achieve transition to renewable energy. Jokowi also pushed the upcoming new energy and renewable energy regulation, which is called RUU EBT in Indonesia, which expect in the form of law will provide a legal certainty, improve governance, create a favorable investment environment, and increase the use of renewable energy source for industrial development and the national economy. We can see the statistics that show how well the current government performed to achieve the goal to make Indonesia becoming net zero in 2060. However, Jokowi's energy policies are not without a flaw. Economic researcher of Indonesia Research Institute criticized one of Jokowi policies to push for energy transition in Indonesia, which is the subsidy. That sometimes maybe he feels that it overlooks the equitable distribution of benefits. One of the example is the removal of full base energy subsidy for car and motorcycle, originally to encourage people to use public transportation, end up resulting in a scenario where the advantages of unrenewable energy subsidy removal are often more enjoyed by those with stable economic condition and put more burden for the poor because the poor condition of Indonesia public transportation system. And let's move to energy goals from different candidates. As I mentioned earlier, that Indonesia are going to have a presidential election, and each of them talk about their goals and future policies about renewable energy. And the first candidate, Anies Baswedan and Muhaimin Iskandar, emphasized the aspect of energy security and place it as a part of effort to fulfill the availability of affordable basic needs. In the aspect of sustainable energy and environmental protection, several related agendas, including cultivating energy-saving behavior through policies, and then implementing the Indonesia towards EBT program through energy diversification, including bioenergy, geothermal, waterfall, wind, hydrogen, and energy solar, with government support on the financing side, with an energy security framework which include aspect of availability, affordability, access price, and acceptability, sustainability. The main energy sector agenda promoted by Anis and Muhaimin pair can be said to be quite complete and detailed. And move to the next candidate, Prabowo Subianto and Gibran Raka Buming Raka prioritize achieving energy self-sufficiency and placing it as a joint priority to achieving food and water self-sufficiency. The existing document actually do not really explicitly elaborate further on energy self-sufficiency in terms of what is mean. Achieving energy self-sufficiency as the Prabowo-Gibran couple first priority in the energy sector seems to be intended to be placed within a green-blue economic framework whose achievement will be based on NRE production. Some of the accompanying priority programs or agendas, including developing NRE, which is synergized with the implementation of the green economy, and continuing and evaluating the development of specialized special economic zones by prioritizing the green economy or the blue economy. And move to the next candidate, the third one candidate Ganjar Pranowo and Mahfud MD emphasized the energy transition within the framework of a green economy as the main instrument in effort to create a sustainable environment. Some of the programs included in the energy transition of the Ganjar and Mahfud pair are the use of EBTS renewable generator with a potential around 3,700 gigawatt in stages for domestic energy needs so that the portion of EBT in energy mix become 25 until 30% until 2029. This includes the energy transition directed toward net zero emission, along with sustainable environment programs such as maintaining forests, cutting air pollution from vehicle, industrial emission, and limiting the use of plastic. And my opinion, summarizing the brief analysis before above, the ideas and approach to the energy issue offered by the three presidential and vice president candidates pair more or less and in one or two words are energy security technocratic for Amis Muhaimin, energy self-sufficiency and idealistic Prabowo Gibran, and for Ganjar Mahfud more to energy and practical transition. Anies Mohaimin tend to prioritize economic scientific principle that suit their needs and rationality. Uh, and then Prabowo Gibran tend to use nationalistic economy ideology approach with more or less populist element involved. And on Ganjar Mahfud tend to focus on one or two priority issues that are deemed to fulfill government administration in both substantive and political aspect. Although the approach may be slightly different, there's a prominent common thread and intersection between the candidates offered by the three of them, which is utilization of the new and renewable energy source. Me, as well as Indonesian that well educated really aware about energy issues that our country has and surely can rest assured because all three of them are actually nationalists in the sense of they always prioritize national interests in the ideas they offer. However, my opinion is because in contrast with Taiwanese, for most Indonesians, awareness of how important the environment is still only as simple as throwing rubbish in its place and maintaining cleanly cleanliness, where it is actually more than that. This happened mainly because the lack of education in Indonesia, and I'm also sure that the most Indonesia doesn't really care or doesn't even know about what each candidate has to tackle the environment and energy issues, but rather still focus more on other issues such as public welfare or religion issues. And we can see this kind of behavior by analyzing people reaction to the interview that was uploaded to the YouTube channel of one of the interviewer famous in Indonesia named Mata Najwa that features each candidate showing their idea to the public. A lot of people are busy praising their chosen candidates and denigrating other candidates without really examining the content of their speech. A lot of Indonesians still rely on their gut feeling and their personal sentiment about which candidate they want to choose. My suggestion is whoever candidates will become the new president rather than only focus on renewable energy policies and sell it as a self value of them. They also have to focus on energy education for all Indonesians to raise their awareness about what is actually happening in the world right now and what their policies are going to do. And government has to revolutionize the education system so it's more up to date and more accessible for all levels of society. Government can also make policies that can actively promote sustainability practice across the sector. This includes providing tax break for sustainable business, offering subsidies for renewable energy installation, endorsing urban planning that support public transportation and green spaces. With awareness in each Indonesian mind, they can have their own effort to act more sustainable rather than only relying on the government so that the energy transition become quicker and smoother.
Thank you, Eric. And now I'm gonna talk about Malaysia key takeaway. So different than Taiwan and Indonesia, Malaysia just had a presidential election last year, which is on 19 November of 2022. And I'm gonna talk about Malaysia's current government policies. So, in Malaysia's political landscapes, renewable energy has become increasingly important, following by the worldwide trend of sustainable development in the wake of the pandemic. The following compares the current Pakatan Harapan's government's approach with another proposed by the opposition party, which is Barisan Nasional, to analyze how Malaysia's renewable energy policies are changing. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, the current government has adopted a proactive stance of renewable energy. The National Energy Policy, which is NEP, uh, from 2023 to 2040 sets ambitious goals, aiming for 31% of energy generation from renewables by 2025 and 40% by 2035, ultimately aiming for net zero emissions by 2050. This shift is driven by two important policies, which is FIT, feed-in tariff, and NEM, net energy metering. So I'm gonna explain what is FIT and NEM in the next two slides. So FIT, the feed-in tariff system in Malaysia, is a regulatory mechanism that mandates distribution licenses, such as TNB, SESB, and NUR, to purchase electricity generated from renewable resources known as renewable energy from feed-in approval holders. The FIT rate, a fixed premium rate per unit of renewable energy, is set to make renewable energy a financial viable and attractive long-term investment for various entitles, including companies, industries, and individuals. By ensuring guaranteed access to the electricity grid and offering favorable pricing structures, the FIT mechanism encouraged the adoption and integration of renewable energy into the national power grid. So, key terminologies. Sorry, the key terminologies within the FIT framework include distribution licenses, feed-in approval holders, feed rate, indigenous, requiring renewable resources to be sourced within Malaysia, and duration, which is the period during which renewable electricity can be sold at the FIT rate. The FIT duration varies based on the characteristic of the renewable resources and technologies, with the current standard being 21 years for new approved FIT applications, providing stability and incentives for renewable energy generation. So followed by NEM, the Net Energy Metering Scheme, introduced by the Malaysian government in November 2016, aims to incentivize the uptake of renewable energy, particularly solar energy in the country. Under the original NEM, which has a quota of allocation of 500 MV until 2020, the energy produced from solar PV installations would be consumed on site, and any excess could be exported to TNB at the prevailing displaced cost. To further encourage NEM adoption, NEM 2.0 was introduced in January 2019, adopting the true net energy metering concept, allowing excess solar energy to be exported back to the grid on a one-on-one offset basis. Executed by the Ministry of Energy and natural resources, and regulated by the Energy Commission, with Sustainable Energy Development Authority (SEDA), Malaysia as the implementing agency. NEM 2.0 saw its 500 MB quota fully subscribed by the December of 31, 2020. Responding to the industry overwhelming interest and aiming to promote solar energy usage, the Energy and Natural Resources Minister introduced NEM 3.0 in December 2020, effective from 2021 to 2023. NEM 3.0 allocates the total quota of up to 1050 MV and introduce new initiatives and categories to provide electricity consumers with more opportunities to install the solar PV systems and realize savings on their electricity bills. Next, I'm going to talk about energy goals from different candidates, which is from Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional. So the current government, Pakatan Harapan, is an advocate of a methodical approach to the development of renewable energy. Acknowledging the possibilities of both mass and individual engagement, their policies promote both NEM and FITS. With attractive guaranteed electricity purchase prices, this strategy seeks to encourage large investments in solar and wind projects while at the same time enabling businesses to take control of their energy needs through NEM. By streamlining the application process, providing subsidies, and raising public awareness, Pakatan Harapan aims to hasten the rooftop solar panel adoption and enable communities to take an active role in the shift to clean energy. Their long-term strategy places a high priority on reaching challenging renewable energy goals through the development of a varied energy landscape that blends distributed generation and large-scale infrastructure. The opposite party, which is Barisan Nasional, offers a different perspective on the way forward to renewable energy. Although they recognize the value of clean energy, they place a higher priority on the swift implementation of large-scale projects made possible by FITs. Their argument is based on the idea that large-scale wind and solar farms provide a more economical and efficient means of achieving significant short-term renewable energy generation. This strategy has been criticized, though, for undervaluing NEM's potential and its role in empowering communities and ensuring energy security. Critics of Barisan Nasional have also raised concern about possible cronyism and transparency in project development. After comparing Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional, I'm gonna talk about some debates and criticism between them. So, the continuous discussion about Malaysia's renewable energy regulation highlights the necessity of giving a serious consideration to a number of variables and issues. Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional both make important observations, each emphasizing a distinct facet of the shift. The main areas of disagreement continue to be the rate of transformation, grid integration capabilities, and funding. While Barisan Nasional is skeptical about NEM's ability to meet long-term energy needs and it is concerned about potential grid instability. While Pakatan Harapan has been criticized for a lack of transparency in policy creation and possible cronyism linked with large-scale projects. Last, I'm gonna talk about my opinion on this. Although Pakatan Harapan's dedication to openness and community involvement instill trust, the possibilities of favoritism in major undertakings calls to in, sorry, calls into the question the just allocation of advantages. Barisan Nasional runs the risk of ignoring the potential of NEM to empower communities and encourage local ownership of the energy transition while focusing on economic viability. In the end, a hybrid strategy that combines the most advantageous features of both policies appears to be the most promising. I think it's important to find a balance to encourage widespread adoption. This calls for streamlining NEM processes and customizing FITS for particular technologies. Furthermore, in order to accommodate growing amounts of the renewable energy generation and maintain grid stability, investment in grid modernization and research will be essential. Last, I'm gonna talk about methods to improve. Firstly, community empowerment is also essential in increased local ownership and participation in the clean energy future. So, government can provide incentives and support for community-owned renewable energy projects to foster local ownership and participation. And second, enhancing public educations like initiating targeted campaigns and educational websites can help raise awareness about the benefits of renewables and make understanding complex environment issues accessible and engaging for young people. And last, I'm gonna talk about the comparison between Taiwan, Indonesia, and Malaysia. So Taiwan's target is to increase natural gas to 50%, reduce coal to 30%, and increase renewable energy to 20% of total energy generation by 2025, last net zero by 2050. Indonesia's target is the National Electricity Plan states a target of 23% share of renewables in the electricity mix by 2025, up from 14% in 2021, and net zero by 2060. And last, Malaysia's target is aiming for 31% of energy generation from renewables by 2025 and 40% by 2035, ultimately aiming for net zero emissions by 2050, and which is same as Taiwan. And the most important policies in Taiwan is focusing on a nuclear-free homeland by 2025, and Indonesia is building renewable energy related infrastructure, upcoming new energy and renewable energy regulation. And Malaysia is two important policies, which is feed-in tariff, which is feed-in tariff and net energy metering. Sorry. Lastly, the problems of Taiwan is Taiwan's high-tech industries such as semiconductor industry require more and more electricity. Nuclear-free policies fail to meet expectation. And Indonesia's problem is people lack of environmental awareness, lack of education, and overlook the equitable distribution of benefits. And Malaysia's problem is both of the biggest political parties fail to meet a mutual agreement and decide the best for people.
Now let's move to the conclusion. While acknowledging the diverse approach and perspective each country holds regarding energy policies, it is heartening to observe the proactive strides taken by Taiwan, Indonesia, and Malaysia towards sustainability and increased reliance on renewable energy sources. These nations are actively contributing to a global shift towards a more sustainable future. By collectively fostering a commitment to renewable energy, we not only safeguard the environment but also ensure a harmonious world for future generations. Let us unite in our effort to preserve the nurturing embrace of Mother Nature, our Earth, providing our grandchildren with the opportunity to experience the warmth and abundance she has graciously bestowed upon us. Thank you so much for listening our presentation. Thank you.